بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على رسولنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. We are picking up on the legendary military ideology of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the era of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. I do believe this will be video number 72. Your humble alright Muhammad Israel, picking up from page number 609, and we already hear the cheers going on there. And we get to the point where drawing up the policy of war and peace bulletin. We're going to pick up from bulletin 2.3.5, maintaining internal security. Maintaining internal security is done by following peaceful methods. Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu wrote to some of his workers saying, and I quote, "Some of the chiefs of your people complained about you're being harsh, hard-hearted, disrespectful, and hostile. So wear for them a garment of softness mixed with a little strictness, alternating between strictness and kindness towards them, bringing them close to you sometimes and keeping them away from you sometimes. This policy is for the purpose of maintaining internal security. If something happens to disturb this mission, then the role of the governor is to try to solve problems in a peaceful manner that is furthest removed from using force, rejecting the policy of using force against the people." In his letter to Malik ibn al-Ashtar, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu says, and I quote, "Do not try to strengthen your authority by shedding blood that is protected by divine law, for that is going to shake and waken it. It will cause its decline and loss." 2.3.6, forming the judiciary in the province. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, "Then select to judge between people one whom you think is the best of your people, one who is unflappable, who does not get offended by opponents, who does not get carried away if he makes a mistake, who will not refrain from turning towards the truth when he recognizes it, who does not have great ambitions, and who is, who is not content with one explanation only before listening to all others, who takes his time and does not rush into passing judgment on ambiguous issues, who relies most on evidence, who does not get annoyed with people referring to him and coming back to him, who is most patient in studying and examining the case until it becomes clear, who is the most decisive once the verdict becomes clear in his mind, who does not become too proud if he is praised and is not tempted easily. Such men are few. Then check regularly on the way he handles cases and be generous towards him so that he will not be in a state of poverty or need, and thus he will not need people show great respect to him so that no one could hope to get his way with him of people who are close to you, and so that he can feel safe and secure with you from the aggression of people close to you." From this text we learn, end the quote, From this text we learn the following: A, the governor is responsible for appointing judges. B, the governor is required to adhere to strict standards in selecting judges. And C, the governor must take care of judges completely so that they do not feel that they need anything from others. 2.3.7 Financial Administration. The sources for financial expenditure in the province were zakat, charity, booty, ghanima and fay, land tax revenue and custom duties. These funds were to be placed in the public treasury, which was the place where the Muslimin public funds were collected. There was a worker in charge of the public treasury who recorded all the wealth that came into it and all expenditures that went out of it. The public treasury played an important role in the centralized administration. The wealth that was collected was spent first on the province's affairs, such as employees, workers, judges, the needy, development, and so on. Whatever was left over was sent to the capital of the Caliph. The public treasury was regarded as the heart of the province, which circulated blood through the veins of the different departments. Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, and I quote, "Look at what you have collected of the wealth of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu and spent it on those with you who are in need and hunger." End quote. As we have mentioned, part of the wealth came from the land tax, which is a levy that was imposed on cultivating land or cultivated land. It was the main source for paying salaries of those employed by the province. Whatever was left over, that was to be distributed to the poor and needy. Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, and I quote, "People are dependent on the land tax and those who pay it." End quote. What is meant by people here is employees and soldiers in general, of whom Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, and I quote again, "The affairs of the troops cannot be sound without what Allah Jalla Jalaluhu has granted of the land tax." End quote. Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu instructed the people to invest in the land by developing and cultivating it. He said, and I quote, "You should focus more on developing and cultivating the land than on collecting the land tax, because it cannot be achieved except by developing and cultivating the land. Whoever seeks the land tax without developing and cultivating the land will cause ruin to the land and the people." End quote. That is because farming the land will provide additional financial resources that may be useful for paying salaries and other expenses. Covering this expenditure is done independently from the central government, which has a share in these resources after the provinces takes what it needs, and sends the rest to the capital. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, and I quote, "What is left over from that, send it to us so that we may spend it on those who are with us." End quote. Another important expenditure of the province was the development of rivers. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu wrote to Qarada ibn Ka'b al-Ansari saying, and I quote, "Some of the dhimmis and manual workers mentioned a river in their land that disappeared and was buried. They have the right that the Muslimin should develop it. So get together and see what you can do, then develop it and restore the river. By Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, developing the lands around the river is dearer to me than if they were to leave and fall short in their duty that could serve the best interest of the land. End quote. 2.3.8. Workers who work for the governors and checking on them. Amirul Mu'minin Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, and I quote once more, then look at the affairs of your workers and employ them on a probationary basis. Do not appoint them on the basis of favoritism and preferences, because that will lead to injustice. Seek those who have experience and are modest people from righteous families who have seniority in Al-Islam, as they are noble in character and better in background, have less worldly ambitions and are more far-sighted. Then be generous in giving them salaries, for that will help them to take care of themselves and make them have no need of what they are handling, and leave with no excuse to disobey you or betray you. Check on their work and send spies from among the trustworthy and loyal people to spy on them, for your checking on them secretly would motivate them to be sincere and kind to the people. If one of them makes a treacherous move, you will get news of him through your spies, and that will be proof enough for you. Then you will be able to punish him physically and hold him responsible for his mistakes in his work, and to bring humiliation upon him and label him as a betrayer, putting around his neck a necklace of shame. End quote by Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib, and that's exactly on page number 613. Here he is talking about employees who work under the governors and are in charge of cities and villages, as well as tax collectors. They shoulder, excuse me once more, a great responsibility because of their work is directly connected to the people. From this text, the importance of these workers in the administrative system becomes clear, because they represent the executive authority. It is essential that their needs be met so that they will not covet the wealth of or rights of others. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu pointed out the importance of spies or watchdogs, whose job involves oversight of departments, administrative bodies, and the treasury. They are to be appointed by the governor and are responsible to him. They should be people who are sincere, so that their reports will be realistic and true. They should also be loyal, so that their aim is to serve the state sincerely. After they submit their reports to the governor, he should carefully verify what is in these reports and not hasten to pass judgment on individuals. One of the rules of this department is to keep a watchful eye on merchants and tradesmen, so as to prevent them from hoarding and causing harm to the people, as they do nowadays. In his letter to Ashtar, Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, may Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with him, indicated that the governments of the righteously guided caliphs had always been directly concerned with the people's affairs. They monitored their situation and tried to find out about any shortcomings at both the individual and group levels. This is a Quranic principle which Allah Jalla Jalaluhu stated on the lips of the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. where he says he, meaning Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, inspected the birds and said, and I quote, "What is the matter that I see not the hoopoe? Or is he among the absentees? I will surely punish him with a severe torment or slaughter him unless he brings me a clear reason." Quran, Surah number 27, ayahs number 20 and 21. Just as Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam checked on the birds, the caliphs were required to pay attention to every individual and to show care to each one, especially the weak. No doubt the leadership requires committees, institutions, and departments so that it will be able to carry out this great task. Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam was concerned with following up on the troops and tradesmen, especially if he was suspicious about their situations. So when he did not see the hoopoe, he hastened to ask, and I quote, "What is the matter that I see not the hoopoe?" Meaning, is he absent? It is as if he was asking whether what he thought was correct. Then he said, "Or is he among the absentees?" End quote. The second question was asked in a more stern tone after he asked the first question in a gentle manner. Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam wanted it to be understood that he was asking about one who was absent, not only out of compassion but also out of strictness. If his absence was not due to an excuse, the era of the righteously guided caliphs, may Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with them all, represented a practical implementation of the Quranic concepts. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu highlighted the importance of the Muslim state's security apparatus, which sought to gather news and information so that it could be employed in the service of the religion, spreading sublime principles, noble aims, and perfect examples, and putting an end to the seeds of corruption in the different departments on which the different departments on which the administration of the state was based. Inshallah, we will stop this one here on page number 400. Well, we were out of 600 exactly. 615. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسم ربك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.